Let's give them something to talk about. I see the energy running out. I got a planet to run around. Okay.
So if you're just jumping in and you saw that cover photo, this is the real Tracey down here.
Very similar on the day.
That picture we took that Jamie, throw that back up real quick. Just
what we want to all see.
I know. Sorry. I was worried actually that she was going to be upset that I put this picture up. But it was the picture that when someone comes into Diablo for anytime they start an account, we get a picture of them. So that way that when the coach goes into class, coach can at least look and figure out who someone is.
Yeah.
And so she gave us that kind of hilarious pose.
We've got a few of those really good ones, like the one with Miles sitting on the lacrosse ball with the face.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, I think the best part is I'm wearing the same shirt, which I swear I have other clothing. Right? Like,
that is gold.
That right?
You know, it's funny as you do had it on. I'm like, wow, what if she wears that every day?
Yeah, I know. It's actually sewn to my body. So
how many do you have? That's the question.
Right? I know. Yeah. Well, I'd love to tell you more than two, but
there's multiple. That's good.
Yeah.
So backstory on Tracey. Oh, Tracey, what CrossFitter and what? Actually, you know what? Let's have you do as kind of a self introduction of where you are and where you live and what you do, and then I can talk a little bit about why you're on the podcast because it's really a cool story, and I really want. This is the podcast I hope that other affiliates watch or listen to because Tracey has some amazing experience that is rare within the CrossFit world.
Very unique, I would say.
Very unique experience, and it's something that we've all been talking about. Other affiliates have been talking about it anyway. With that preamble, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure. So I'm Tracey Ranick. I have been doing CrossFit for going on 15 years this year, which is crazy to say out loud. I probably should be better than I am for doing it so long, but you schlep away day to day and you get through it. I fell into CrossFit. There was a tiny gym locally where I live. So I live in Canada. I live in a city called St. Catharines, which is, 15 minutes from Niagara Falls or so. And I was working out at a regular, global gym, if you will, me and White Goodman hanging out in the background, pumping iron and doing our thing. And, over the years, I had put on a fair amount of weight, raising kids, having a career, and just, really deprioritized my own health. Had started working out at the gym. And then after maybe about a year or so, into, the reintroduction to fitness, a friend of mine said, "Hey, I heard about this cool new gym. I think you'll really love it. It's called, CrossFit." And I'm like, what the hell is that? Right. So you do the research and, there's not a whole hell of a lot out there, but, I'm up for anything, which you guys kind of probably picked up from me. And so off we go. And, you do your first workout and it just annihilates you. You're in, decent shape by that point and you think you can kind of hold your own. And it was just an overwhelming experience and so positive to be able to work so hard in such a short period of time, was just awesome. And I've never looked back since. So, from the start of CrossFit, I'm down about, 110 pounds or so.
What?
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't even know that part of the
story. I know. I don't really talk about that piece.
I missed how many years of CrossFit have you been doing?
So it's been about 15 now. I'll be 15 this year. Yeah. So
you are OG.
I am OG. Like, I remember the first games at the ranch. I remember, awesome. Nobody knowing what the hell they're doing. And, Annie muscling her way through her first muscle up.
Yes.
And everybody wearing whatever whatever they felt like that day. So it's been a great experience. And, we all talk about CrossFit and how much we love it, but it has literally changed my life. Changed my life personally, changed my life, from a community to have to be a part of wherever I go when I travel. And it's just, I just absolutely love it.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah, what a great story. I didn't know. Yeah. Again, there's another thing I didn't know about you.
Yeah. I was a competitive gymnast as when I was into my teens, like a national gymnast. And so I've always had, good body awareness, and I'm, fairly athletic, but again, your life changes when you have kids and you deprioritize yourself. And it was kind of really cool to see it all come back. And muscle memory is a real thing. Once you know how to move your body, you don't really forget that. So a lot of the gymnastic side of CrossFit has really appealed to me. And just the general overall training, like that day-to-day grind is, I think, the part that we all love the most.
Yeah, it is. And it's a bonding agent within the community. And it's the when we suffer together, we, I kind of know it's like it lowers all the inhibitions. It's kind of an alcohol at the bar.
Yeah.
It's like you lower all inhibitions. Everybody's kind of revealed themselves to transparency, and people get to know each other a little better. We've suffered together. We bonded together, and it's really remarkable what it does.
Yeah. Incredibly well said.
And you've always been at CrossFit affiliates?
I have, yeah, in the last 15 years. So I think I had mentioned, Diablo was my 253rd drop-in, which is an insane amount of gyms. And it's so cool to say out loud, right? So, my work has me traveling. So whenever I travel anywhere for work, whatever city I am in, I always find a new gym to hit. And then, you just kind of go from there.
What's so cool.
And that's 252 gyms over 15 years. Did you keep track of those?
I do. I have a list because I'm like a nerd, right? Let me just push my glasses up. Like true CrossFit nerd. I have a list in my phone of all the gyms. My
Wait,
husband.
hang on one second.
Yeah, sure.
I just need to clarify this point. Unfortunately, Tim Dimmel's not on. So Tim, Tracey has a list of all of the gyms that she wrote down in her phone. Tim Dimmel is an affiliate owner of Palo Alto, and he still keeps journals, the old notebook.
He's
kind of
very gung ho with the paper and pen.
Yeah, Tracey keeps it in her phone, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, I'm going to need you to get board here, buddy.
That's going to be a clip that I'm going to cut and I'm going to send to him because it's a battle that he and I have going back and forth.
I love it. That's awesome. Anytime I can support a dig at somebody else, I'm happy to help. So,
yes. All right. So if you go 252 of those, how far back does number 1 through 10 go?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. So my first gym that I went to was only open for a couple of years. So, I went there, and then, the guy who ran it was great, nice guy, but just not in it anymore.
Right.
And so he sold his gym, and it just kind of progressed from there. Before I started traveling so much through North America, I was traveling back and forth between my house and my office that was about an hour away. And there were gyms along the way. And that's really how it started, was to avoid rush hour. So I worked 45 minutes away. So I'm like, oh God, to sit in the traffic and get back and have to do a 7:00 class, I might as well just find somewhere locally to go, and I can, buy a punch card or drop in and then miss the traffic. And so that's really how the drop in side started. So I would say the first 10 to 15 gyms on my list were just true convenience, out of life. I think when you're dedicated to fitness, you want to make sure you get your workout in. And so that was enabling me to be able to do that.
I want to kind of underline a point here, somewhat unrelated to the whole drop-in notion, but more along the lines of what your thought process is for keeping fitness in your life. So, because this is something that my wife and I do, and I think other people do that are consistent with their fitness, is they prioritize their fitness in terms of the amount of time that it might take in their day. So, and by that I mean she adjusted her training schedule, or she adjusted where she went to the gym so that she could reduce the amount of time she spent in the car.
Yeah.
And this is something that I tell people when they come in, they're always a little shocked when they come into the gym and they go on a tour. I said, where do you live? And they look at me like, well, I live right here in Walnut Creek. I go, good. I go, the gym has to be close to work or home.
Mm-hmm.
we've had people, I think a couple from Pleasanton,
drive,
right?
Yeah.
Hour-long drive to get here. And I have conversations with them. I go, it's going to, you're going to get excited. It's going to be great for the first 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And Tracey will probably attest to this based upon what she just told me. But after 6 months, there's days when we all have the days when we don't feel like working out. And if you've got to sit, if there's a 30 to 45-minute car drive in between that ain't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you got to go someplace to get
out.
and then go back home, it's got to be in your path of travel.
Yeah. I could not agree more.
Critical element.
Could not agree more. Most people say like so I work from home. So for me, I'm at home all day. So come, 5 o'clock, I'm itching to get the heck out of here. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very easy for me now to jump in my car and hit my gym. But when I was traveling, I agree. If I had tried to come home first and then go back out, there's no way I would have left.
As soon as you get, on the back end, if you go home, I always applaud people that can go home and then change and come back in.
Yeah.
There's so many things at home to pull you away from the gym.
Yeah.
And you can make that excuse, and every day off gets easier.
Yeah. The other huge appeal to CrossFit for me is, being in the corporate world, if you will. There are very few workouts that you can do where you can hit a gym, be in and out in an hour, and then be back home. So you have the ability to do, 6 a.m. classes, a 9 a.m. class. If I have an hour in the middle of my day, I can hit a noon, but it's just the time that it gives you back in your life as well, where, you if you hit a regular, Globo gym, you could be, hours in there and then you feel like you're not getting anywhere. You have to do your own programming. I mean, the beauty of CrossFit is the work is done for you. You just got to show up.
This is why I don't do open gym.
Yeah.
I do open gym and I'll look up and an hour and a half has gone by. I'm like, oh, I still got to do my Metcon.
Especially when you have a bunch of open gymmers with you.
Well, that's even worse.
The conversation just gets going.
That's where community at CrossFit is detrimental to your fitness.
Not to mention, I would never do a burpee in the history of the world if I did open gym only, ever. It would never happen, right? I would do barbell, I would do dumbbells, and I would do zero metabolic conditioning whatsoever.
I'm right there with you, man. It's going to be power cleans, wall balls, and rowing.
Yes, all in. I'm down.
I could do an EMOM with that. Oh, that's so good. So you have 252 gyms in your phone. Do you take notes on those, or is it just you kind of like you remember the experiences?
Yeah, I think you remember the experiences, both good and bad. I think what's really cool is the beauty of CrossFit is no matter where you go, you can Google a gym and find somewhere to be. So even when I'm on vacation, which, my husband is super supportive of, thankfully, he gets that every night I'm going to carve out, an hour and hit a gym.
Right.
And we were just in Hawaii in May. And I was able to, continue with CrossFit at Lahaina there. And it's just like the beauty of always having somewhere to be.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that was actually Lahaina in May before the fires.
Yeah,
the previous May, yes, sir.
Oh, the previous May, okay.
Yeah. Thank goodness we got to be there. That was our first time in Hawaii. It's a trek for us because I'm East Coast Canada.
That's right.
Right?
Oh yeah.
That's
a beautiful gym, great gym. They have long workouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, burpee pull-ups. So the curse of Tracey Ranick is that usually in my lifetime, I can tell you that I would bank on 200 of those 252 are burpees day one at a drop-in. And it is it follows me and it haunts my dreams.
So Lahaina CrossFit is low on the list of rankings.
Yeah.
What's great about Lahaina CrossFit, by the way, for those who are listening, is Lahaina CrossFit is back open.
Okay.
And they are doing classes in their location
great.
now. Yeah. And they're still doing community days.
Oh, cool.
For the community, for the Lahaina community on Saturdays, which is cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. That was a great experience for sure.
Yeah.
So just overall working, when you hit all these gyms, I've made lifelong friends at a lot of these gyms, which is pretty cool, right? We see each other outside, and people outside of the CrossFit community don't necessarily get that. where, usually I'll Uber to a gym if I don't have a rental car. And then inevitably somebody there is like, oh, hey, where are you staying? And you tell them, and they're like, oh, I'll just give you a ride home. And then you get out of the car with some random stranger at the hotel, and your work people are out front, and they're like, you got in a car with a stranger? Like, it's kind of like community. Like, there's just that comfort, right?
Yeah.
I had a very similar
it's so
experience
funny.
at Lahaina. When
really?
Christy and I went for our honeymoon, we went to Maui, and we happened to do the Helen, it was a Barbells for Boobs event. It was a Helen meets Grace.
Oh, okay.
And we met somebody, and she took us to her house. We ended up showering there, and then took us down to watch Jaws, the big waves.
Really?
The big swells are coming in. Yeah, it was like, we're driving down all this back road stuff. It's so cool.
It really is. Once you have that common bond of CrossFit, it's really remarkable. Someone said to me, I don't know, about a year ago, they had done it. They joined and were here for about a week. And I said, it's amazing. I go, the people miss you. He goes, yeah, it really is cool. He goes, I guess, it kind of always, it proves my theory that assholes don't like hard work.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, well, that's kind of true. It's a natural filter.
Yeah, it really is. I agree with you for sure.
What, in your estimation, how, first of all, how do you choose the affiliate that you're going to drop into? So you come into our neighborhood, and how do you mentioned Google, you pull up Google Maps. Do you do any deeper dives besides the first one that shows up on Google Maps?
For sure. Yeah. So I will typically Google it just because, being Canadian geography, I just have no clue. Right. So at least if I Google, we hit Google Maps, it'll tell me how far everything is in the different gyms. From there, I would go to each affiliate's website. I check out the information, the coaches page, look to see what kind of a schedule they have, if the schedule times will meet, if they take drop-ins. There are some gyms that are just too busy to accommodate a drop-in. That's typically at a 5 class or a weekend class, because they want to, make sure their members are taken care of first, which I completely understand as well. So like really just making sure that the gym is a good fit for me, and I don't know if it's just years of experience. I prefer to have a heads up on what the WOD is first, as somebody who does 5 or 6 days a week, because if I'm doing, I'd hate to do like the same thing back to back.
Right,
I'll do it if it's the right gym, but it's kind of nice to have an idea of what you're going in with as well.
Sure.
So really that's the kind of start of it. But the web page, like, I think people underestimate how important it is to have a decent web page when you own a gym. Because people like me, want to feel comfortable that the gym we're going to support, has a great community, has great coaches, just generally has their crap together.
This is something that Luis,
I was going to say, this is very similar to what we
Luis talked about as well a couple of weeks ago, our member, and he said he does drop-ins, and he said the same thing. He goes, I need to be a consistent. It would be great if it was the CrossFit affiliate websites were consistent with respect to how to contact them.
Yes.
What the drop-in process is, and then what their workout is. Yep. And I think that's at this point when we look, we're not franchises. We're all independently owned, but I think there's some bare minimums that you can have that are almost like small business standards. Mm-hmm. And I will, repeat what I said on the podcast a few weeks ago. Your drop-ins can be mavens for you. Where among their family and friends that are here in the area, or among their workmates that are here. Yeah, workmates that are here. That can benefit your business. The other thing that you mentioned that I think is a lot of affiliates overlook, and I did for a lot of years, is the power of Google Maps. Yeah. Because I can go on there. So there's a service that every affiliate should have and should log into, is Google My Business. Mm-hmm. And you go in and you claim your business because Google's already got it for you. They've claimed it.
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah, exactly. They've claimed it. You go in and then they send you some information to verify that you are actually the business owner, which is good. That may actually make me feel good, because I don't need someone else, somebody else claiming angry ex-employee claiming it. Mm-hmm. And then you can go in there and you can add pictures. You can Google will send someone out to do a Google Street View,
like a tour. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
They'll send someone out if
Yeah.
there's a way to get someone to come out and do a tour of the gym, so then people can go. Not only they can go on the Google Maps and they can do Street View, and they can go inside your gym and see, which is really cool.
That's pretty cool.
But I would, though, at a minimum, what you want to put on there on your Google Your Business is your hours, your proper hours. You want to put
Contact. Of some sort.
a contact of some sort, and then lots of pictures.
Yeah.
And you want to update those pictures. I noticed, like, I went in not too long ago, and I was like, oh man, those are old pictures. I need to update the pictures, because that's what people do. I do the same thing. I get, when I'm looking for someplace to eat, boom, I look on Google Maps, and then I click on the Google Maps link for it.
Yeah.
And Google Maps won't even they'll put your website link on there, but you got to go 3 or 4 buttons over, because they don't want you to leave Google Maps.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's actually it's a pretty neat tool, and it's easy to manipulate in your favor. You can put a lot of information on there. You can put your drop-in stuff on there. So
yeah, I agree, Craig. And like, the beauty of the Street View is oftentimes CrossFit gyms are in, different areas where they're a hella hard to find, right?
Yeah,
like, you pull up, and like, my husband's dropped me off at a few, and he's like, an auto shop, a guy who fixes motorcycles.
I'm going to stick around.
Cannabis, and then that's you, right?
Cannabis, true. That's.
I'm sure he's like, I'm going to sit in the car until you come back down and give me the wave.
That's hilarious.
Thumbs or something, right?
Not so ironically, Tracey. One of the, like, when I was renegotiating our lease a few years ago, they talked about the rising is part of their negotiating tactic was, Craig, there's, the cannabis places are all looking for space just like yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's who we're competing with. Fortunately, that's the demand for cannabis is waning here in California. It's not.
Well, not in Canada. So
Yeah,
not so much here, but good for you.
Oh my God. And so you find a place, and then you'll check their workout, and then go through the process, the drop-in process. What are the drop-in fees that you typically pay?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So it depends on where you go, right? Like, this is how I look at it. If you are a drop-in, you need to do your work, right? You need to do your research, figure out the gym that you're going to, and expect to pay, right? You're getting coaching, you're taking up a space in somebody's class. And although oftentimes, once you've been a day or two, or if they know you're there a week, they'll, waive the fee for the week or whatever. But you should go into it expecting to pay. And I certainly always do. I would say the average cost is between 25 and 50. I find that the places that are more touristy, so like when I went to CrossFit Reebok Fifth Avenue in New York, right? You're going to pay a little bit more, but that's like our mothership. So obviously you want to go there, right? And that's an experience to be a part of. In Vegas, you have like a very touristy area. I always pay every single time. It doesn't matter. If I'm there for a week or 2 weeks, you're going to pay each drop in. And then the other really cool thing that I kind of love is you also end up having your favorites and your buddies and the people that you look forward to seeing, whether it's once a year or whatnot. And, if I could give a shout out to Forever Young CrossFit in Orlando, this gym, Gabriel and Carol Costa own the gym, and they are just remarkable. And I think one of the coolest things about this gym is that they have a heavy Spanish speaking community. So when I'm there, I'm way odd man out. I go every single year the same week. It typically lands with the games rollout. So like we do Friday Night Lights, I'm included. Cool. The night of the CrossFit announcement, I'm included. And I look so forward to seeing them every single year. And it's just like you walk back in and you're home, and everybody remembers you, and it's just a beautiful thing that they have built there. They have an incredibly strong community. But what's also super cool is they coach in Spanish, and there they are. They'll love that. They coach in Spanish, but it translates for some reason, right? So they have incredible coaches. Luis is one of their coaches, and he goes through everything in Spanish. But like, even though I don't understand a word of it outside of cerveza and hola, like you can still kind of fit in and figure out exactly what you have to do. So like, that's a really cool experience as well, is that you build this community. They look forward to seeing you once a year, and then you just pick up right where you left off.
Latin America,
cool.
Mexico down to South America is experiencing tremendous growth of CrossFit and the growth in CrossFit affiliates. I've actually done some calls I do free calls with affiliate owners that just to answer their questions, get advice that they might not be able to get elsewhere from an experienced affiliate owner who's made every mistake there is to make in owning an affiliate. And I find the conversations that I've had with Latin American CrossFit owners are just so exciting. It just reminds me of what CrossFit was back in the day.
Yeah.
So passionate about what they're doing,
Yeah.
so excited to help people. And that's really cool to hear.
Yeah. There's quite a few of those out there,
Right.
I CrossFit Coliseum in Toronto, where Carolyn Prevost is affiliated with, and
Yeah.
Paul,
Yep.
hell of a gym, like
Paul
a beautiful gym, mammoth. And Paul is like a great guy, always extremely helpful. One of my first gyms that I dropped into on vacation in Fort Walton Beach was called CrossFit Militia. They had a big Saturday event at the beach where they were doing a WOD, included me. Hey, we're doing this thing. Do you want to come out? So it's,
if they go, hang on one second. So,
Yeah.
and this is what I'm going to tell people that I don't know any of them would be listening to this podcast, but people that like don't judge a CrossFit affiliate by their name. If a new CrossFit affiliate came to me and said, "Hey, we're going to open up," and I go, "What's your name?" They're going to be CrossFit Militia. I'm like,
yeah, little douchey.
Oh, you're coming back to this podcast. But it's like that doesn't define the name. Typically doesn't. It's usually the whim of of an affiliate owner that comes up and had something in their mind.
It's also what's available.
Yeah, well, that's true. What's available is, but that's classic right there, because some of the craziest named CrossFits are oftentimes some of the best CrossFits.
Yeah.
Have you heard of CrossFit Industry? It's in Collingwood.
I have heard the name.
I have heard it too.
And you probably know Stouty. Stouty is the guru behind the adaptive athletes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He is a remarkable man. His gym is, again, like, I have my top 5. That I would always recommend, always go to, that I've had the best experiences at. And his gym is one hell of an establishment as well. Again, always welcoming, great coaching.
What city is he in?
He's in Collingwood. It's Industry. Okay. I believe it's Industri. So it's a little bit of a different spelling there, but he's weathered the storm. Like, there's been a couple other gyms open and closed in his area. Collingwood is a super small kind of touristy, place where there's skiing in the winter, and a lot of cottaging in the summer. So he likely has a ton of drop-ins as it is. But I mean, his gym is just, absolutely phenomenal. And what he does there, his coaches are always great, and like, just, again, always include you in everything. There's nothing like going somewhere once a year and then they remember you, right? It makes you feel so great. So that's another really good one as well.
Yeah, I like this. No, I'm going to these, by the way. And pay attention to what Tracey said earlier, is
at the websites.
Yeah, is the websites. We think about websites, especially today's day and age. If you talk to a Gen Z, they'll be like, "I've never been to a website in my life." Websites don't matter anymore. But that's not true with CrossFit. Like, I do, because that's where the research is done. Because we know the problem with all you Gen Zers is that CrossFitters, we got started with websites. Yeah. CrossFit started on the web. And so we have websites that are our brochures. And Tracey made the point. She said, make sure, you know, you get, if you can't put the workout up, put your schedule up. And then she also mentioned she goes to the staff page.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I just went to it. I went to ours last week or 2 weeks ago, and it hadn't been updated. Like, I had coaches that aren't here anymore, and I had coaches here that weren't on the, and I was like, oh shit.
Whoops.
Yeah, sure.
And so you like, I would say for CrossFit affiliates, you know, I think it's worth once a quarter to go through your website. It doesn't, you all have web developers, or you've got a Squarespace site. Jamie's setting up Squarespace for PRs all day, and are you using, what do you use?
Squarespace. Yeah.
Squarespace. Super easy to use, super easy for people to make those changes. You just got to remember to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's beneficial because if Tracey's doing it for drop-ins, chances are first timers that are checking out your gym are going to that website too. Because CrossFit's scary as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're gonna want to try and like figure out, like, what's this gonna be like for me? You know, how do you make it look scary? So you do a little bit of research.
Yeah.
And you go to the website. And so think about what's on your website.
It's so funny to hear that, right? Because to us, it's the most welcoming, open environment in the world, where you walk in and you're instantly a part of things.
Right.
But then, you know, the outside looking in, you know, that deer in the headlights when someone walks in and hears weights dropping on the floor, you know, sees a guy in a headband and no shirt when it's minus 40 in Canada, right? Like, all of these things you don't realize that it can be a little overwhelming, right? And yeah, for us, the regular Joe Schmoes who love it, it's just such an easy environment.
We take it for granted.
Totally.
You're right.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I think it's, you know, this is probably a good time for me to give kudos to you and your gym. So, you know, again, 252 gyms, Diablo was 253 and was instantly a top 5 for me. The community that you've built, the gym itself, the upkept equipment, the cleanliness, the just instant welcome that Yvonne provided when you walk through the door is unmatchable. So, I mean, kudos to you and what you've built. It is not easy.
Thank you very much. And it's fine tuning over the years, because it wasn't always like that, folks.
Sure.
And, you know, Tracey, you know, thank you for the compliments. And Tracey makes a point about but it took us years to, Jamie knows. Jamie was here, like, you know, when we had, you know, someone would send us a complaint. Hey, I came in, there was no one at the front desk, and the sign told me that I'm on my own.
Yeah.
Figure it out. If you can't figure it out, you got to go somewhere else.
Figure it out. If you can't figure it out, go yourself. Yeah, we've kind of changed our tune.
Yeah.
That was like 6 years ago.
Yeah, that's it.
6-7 years ago.
We've learned, we take feedback from people like Tracey, and it goes a long ways. And then we start getting people telling us your place is amazing, and I'm like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, we're doing the right thing.
Being receptive to feedback is helpful.
Yeah. And who doesn't love feedback, right?
Yeah, right.
Most people who say they love feedbacks are really serious, right?
Yeah.
So the other thing is too that I absolutely think is like so important as a drop-in is like, CrossFitters are nuts. I have 252 t-shirts, for God's sakes. I could never wear them all. I'd be like Joey from Friends, right? But it's, you know, we're always going to buy stuff. So if you want your swag out there, you want your name out there, have just something available, because we definitely want to support your community, support your gym, because that's why we're there. Right.
Within your community, you probably have a t-shirt guy.
For sure.
That wants to,
or at least have a guy that knows.
Yeah. Or so Jamie's got now. Talk about what Jamie has, because and I think all affiliate owners, because we've used it, his tool that he uses for PRs all day, which is Jamie writes our programming. And so we spun out that company, and now he runs it and operates it and sells it through Sugar Wad. But he does our programming, and he's our head coach. But anyway, talk about the shirts.
So we had a competition, teen trials a few months ago, and the t-shirts was kind of the thing. It's like, well, how, you know, kids are not fully signing up and giving us their sizes. Like, we had like half the sizes. So at that point, it's like, all right, well, let's just, instead of putting out a big order ahead of time, I got some shirts, and then I ordered this heat transfer from Amazon. It's like $100 as a 10,
I can't believe that was only $100.
Yeah, it was $100, and it's a 10 by 12 space where you can press a shirt. And then going to Ninja Transfers, which is like a heat transfer site, they do stickers and all kinds of other swag. But that came in like 2 days after putting in the graphics, and at that point it's just press it on, iron it out, and it's good to go.
And heat transfers, no, heat transfers didn't used to be.
It wasn't.
They didn't used to be high
I
quality.
had some heat transfers at my old gym at CrossFit Burn, and they were trash.
Yeah,
these are so much better.
The materials now are unbelievable, and it's think about it like car wraps, right? Car wraps now.
That's a good point.
It's almost difficult to tell a car wrap from paint. Because the materials are so good, and it's the same thing with these heat transfers.
Yeah.
And what talk about the cost of
the heat transfers themselves. I mean, you can get them into sheets. Like a 9x9 sheet was what was it, like $5 or something like that, $5 or $6. And depending on the graphic that you're putting on there, it's, you know, you can get a few of those transfers, but instead of sitting on a ton of inventory that's maybe not moving, if you need shirts, you can just easily press it on the size that you need. And then it's good to go.
Yeah, and you don't burn a shirt.
Yeah,
right?
it takes like 15 seconds to press it, and then another 15 seconds to cure it. And then unless you have multiple prints that you want to put on it, it was honestly, it's like, wow, I don't know why I haven't done this sooner.
Yeah, that's cool. You could even use that for like in-house comps and things like that as well, right?
Yeah,
like it's so versatile.
The Friday Night Lights.
I kind of want to do like a whatchamacallit, like a leader jersey. You can easily, I mean, like that's exactly what they use for like the games. When you have a leader jersey, they press the name on it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, it's awesome. Cool. Yeah, really cool.
Oh yeah, that is what they do at the games.
Exactly what they do at the games. Yeah,
yeah.
It's a heat transfer,
and it does well in the dryer and everything like those. Yeah. So anyway, so affiliates, I think.
Well, didn't
Tracy's right? You have no excuse. Like you can get a few shirts and put a few shirts up there.
Well, James Cooper, he had CrossFit Trial Built.
Pull up that website for that heat press.
The heat press or the
I don't know. No, the transfers, where they get the transfers.
Yeah, hold on a second.
And so Jamie like produced his own logo and sent it off to him, and those shirts were great.
That's
I love those shirts. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that like from a community standpoint, like I've been to some great gyms, and I've been to some gyms that just, you know, make your heart hurt, right? But it's really makes a big difference when somebody makes an effort to know who you are. One of the worst experiences that I ever had was at a gym that shall remain nameless, but is now closed, and it was a massive, very impressive facility. And when I went in, it was a huge class, probably 25 or 30, similar to when I came to your gym, Craig. I think there's 24 the first night that I came. And so, you know, we had this young guy running the class, you know, that typical kind of coach who you don't want to see, who people who don't CrossFit expect to walk into. He made zero effort to know me, you know, my name, know who I was, ask about experience, you know, went through the workout. And I said, okay, so at the end, I'm like, he didn't say what the weights were. So I, you know, raise my hand and say, yeah, can you just tell me, you know, what's the weights? Like, what's the RX? Oh, you know, don't worry about it. Just do whatever you can. So I'm a little bit irked because it's like,
he made it. Yeah, he made an assumption.
Yeah, exactly. Just because I'm not 25 doesn't mean maybe I can't hold my own, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I let it go, asked again, got the same answer, and then asked again because I wanted to, you know, now I'm kind of pissed off, right? And let's face it, the CrossFitters, you know, sometimes have a point to prove, and it happens to be a workout that was in my wheelhouse. So when he gave me the weights, I said, yeah, okay, perfect. Is it okay if I do the guy's weight?
Little did you know, you got 15 years of experience under your belt.
That's awesome.
Well, again, you just do that when you know your strengths, right?
Yeah,
and then I proceeded to annihilate the entire gym because I was fueled.
How satisfying is that, right?
I was fueled by perimenopause and rage, right? Like it was just like I was so mad. You know, so it's like just the assumption that because I'm not young, it doesn't mean that I, you know, can't hold my own. And if you had have known that I've been doing CrossFit for as long as I have been, you should trust the fact that I'm going to scale where I need to, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to do RX where I can, and where I can't, I'm not going to. Like, like I understand that you may not know me, but if you took the chance to get to know me even a little bit, we might have had a better experience out of the gate. So
I think it's a Maya Angelou, and forgive me if I mispronounce her name, and Maya Angelou quote that says, "People may not remember who you are, but they'll remember how you made them feel."
Yeah,
definitely.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And
it was
that holds
crappy, right?
very, very true in CrossFit. And Greg, I reposted that speech that Greg Glassman did in 2010 to the group of CrossFit affiliates. And he said, look, when he was talking about coaching CrossFit affiliates for being successful, or coaching athletes when they're working out, he goes, look, I can fix your fucking early arm pull in a clean easily. Yeah. He goes, but I can't fix, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is with coaches. And I think as affiliate owners, when you look for coaches and you interview coaches, is figure out whatever line of questioning you have to figure out, do they care?
Yeah.
Because the coach that cares is going to be the one that everyone loves. And that's true here at Diablo. Like I can think about our most beloved coaches are the ones that care. And everybody one of them's on this podcast, and it's not as much me. It's Jamie Lee.
Yeah, I know. I'm sad. Next time I'm there.
I'm the angry old man. But Jamie Lee, one of the things people love to it's a catch-22 though, because one, everybody loves to have Jamie Lee in the class because he always asks and he always remembers what injuries people have, and then he goes back around when they're doing the lifts and he gives corrections, but then he also gives scaling ideas and all this stuff. That's why he's our head coach.
Yeah.
But it's also why he runs late in class almost every time he runs a class.
There's always one.
It's because I care. Because he cares.
But that matters, right? So let me tell.
Sorry, go ahead.
Jam, right? Cleans are my jam. I love them. It's fun. I feel badass. Like I want to spit when I do them. Like there's just something about them, and I consider myself to be pretty efficient at them. But years back, I was at CrossFit de l'Ouest in Montreal. And one of the coaches took the time to correct my form. And it was something really small that over years of CrossFitting with the same coach, it gets overlooked, right? So, when you catch it, my feet weren't besides that, I was pulling forward with one foot, happens to be the one that I have a knee problem with, right? So you kind of break it down, but that was something that had been overlooked for 10 years of CrossFit. Wow. So to have, somebody take the time, even as a drop-in, to stop and correct my form, I mean, those things go a long way, right? So we appreciate that.
Yeah,
it's like a constantly varied aspect, right? Like if you have the same coach and you see that coach every time, and maybe they've had certain cues or certain adjustments to try to make, and maybe it's not working, but you hear one thing from somebody new, it's a different perspective. It could be the light bulb that changes everything. Yeah,
in a different way. Exactly. Like you hear the same correction. And I'm like, hi, you've told me this 700 times, right? Like you think you're doing it and you're not. But it does help.
Yeah. And it's not like you're saying like, hey, that coach was teaching it wrong. It's it's a different perspective, a different angle. And as long as whatever works.
Yes. Yeah. Some people are visual learners. Some people can take a cue. Sometimes it's just that one little rewording of a sentence, but I love that. I love when I'm somewhere cool. And then you get that feedback from somebody new. So it is really nice to have that too.
Aha moments are always fun.
Of course.
I want to ask you a question. So Jamie Lee and I were at a presentation at in the affiliate lounge at the CrossFit Games, and Don Fall got up and he was speaking to affiliate owners, and he said, let me ask you all a question. And he's asked us at regional meetings as well. If your mother lives in another town, how many of you would feel comfortable just recommending her to go to any CrossFit gym? And it was a room full of people. But there's been a lot of subject about this question and this topic amongst the CrossFit community. And this is why one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on. And no one raised their hand. Everybody was like, and I was kind of like,
you kind of did.
Yeah. I was kind of like, because I'm getting more confident, because the more I talk to affiliate owners, I have conversations with affiliate owners. Now that I'm doing that, I'm getting more and more confident that the affiliate owners do care. Let me ask you this question: you've been to 252 affiliates, random affiliates, and you picked them off of online. These are people that these are gyms you did not know. You just went in. Overall, of the 250 affiliates, how would you say the health of the affiliate is from a perspective of quality of coaching and safety?
Ooh, that's a heavy question.
That is.
I would have to, I mean, being fully honest, I would say I would say 20% I would have faith in. And the rest, you're not really sure who's coaching sometimes. You're not really sure if they're engaged or interested. I think that the coaching is so important. And what CrossFit doesn't need is somebody standing in front of a whiteboard or a screen and reading what the WOD is. We need to know what the stimulus is. We need to know what we're supposed to be getting out of it. And we need to have faith in that coach's ability to be able to not only coach us, but demo the movements, answer any questions, and then feel like, they care. So, not being on your phone, scrolling friggin' Instagram or Tinder, looking for your next night out, and actually paying attention to what is happening in the class, right? Like I have seen a couple of pretty good injuries over my time out in drop-ins, and I truly believe that they could have been prevented if the coach was paying attention. Yeah. And then I think the other side of that is you have to have a coach with a big enough presence to be able to correct somebody and have them listen and catch that. Now, you're always going to have people and members who are not coachable, and you can tell them the same thing 500 times, and they're going to tell you that they know better. And you kind of need to know where to draw your line there. But when somebody wants to be coached, is interested in be coaching, and even if they are, a basic person who isn't ever going to compete at all, they deserve the same level of coaching, cues, respect as your competitive athletes. They should be treated the same. That's a big one for me.
Yeah. Okay. Because you're a business person.
Yeah.
And you're a passionate CrossFitter. You clearly have more experience than probably 99% of affiliates of CrossFitters that are out there.
Yeah.
How does a CrossFit affiliate owner, what's your recommendation for fixing that? I wouldn't even ask this question for someone that's been like 20 to visit 20 drop-ins or 30 drop-ins, but 252 drop-ins since 2005 or since 2009, probably 2010, around there. You've got a tremendous depth of knowledge and having gymnastics background. What do you think affiliate owners, how do we go from 20% to 80%? What's your recommendation?
Yeah. So I will answer this and then I have to jump, but I'd love to come back.
I'm sorry.
No. I mean, trust me, if I could do this all day, I would. I'm really enjoying my time with you, and I'd love to absolutely come back anytime. So number one, a lot of times people who open a gym because they love to work out. They're not opening a gym and running it like a business. It is a business. You have to treat it like a business. You have to coach it like a business, and you have to be passionate about the business side as well. If you're not, you need to hire somebody who is, because it's not all going to come together for you otherwise.
100%.
Number one. Number two, there are a gazillion gyms out there that are super successful within your community. Reach out, for the love of God. Make an effort, know other people, take time to get to know, find out what's working, what isn't working. If it just makes so much sense that they
will take your call, by the way.
Yes, of course they will. Always. No one in CrossFit is ever going to say, no, I'm not going to help you. Like, there is this community for a reason. And I don't think that we lean on it enough. Like, business owners lean on it enough, because there is such a depth of knowledge, and there are gyms that do things really well and don't do other things, the best, that could all learn from each other. But you have to be open enough and make the effort. Like, you can't just post CrossFit Tracey on a fucking wall and think that that's enough, right? Like, there's so much more to it. Wow. But lean on each other.
brilliant advice, and 100% the business side of it, know it, passionate about it, or hire someone that is. And that's me.
Yeah.
I love the business side because I came out of the business world. Love the CrossFit side. My wife's passionate about the organization and inventory. She does the books because she loves it. I try to get someone else to do it. She's like, no, she loves it. And so that's cool. But that helps. And that's why Diablo is in the top of your list.
It sure is. Yeah.
Because of those things. Thank you. All right. So we're gonna let you go.
Okay.
This was
Thanks
awesome.
so much. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Thank
share
you.
this and multiply. I'll send you the links for this, but I'm gonna
Sure.
I'm sending this to Don Fall. I'm gonna send it to Austin Maliolo. I'm gonna send it to Dave Castro, and I'm gonna send it to Savon, because people need to know about you.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
you have a lot to share with the community, and can't thank you enough for being on.
Yeah, anytime. I really appreciate you including me today, and it was absolutely great to meet you both. Congratulations to you both on having such a successful gym, and I look forward to talking to you both soon.
It was an honor. Thanks, Tracey.
All right, take care, guys.
Cheers. Bye-bye. All right. Did you end?